What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Schwen Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Schwen, here with my co-host, Ray. Ray, say hello to the people.
How's it going, people?
We have another week of NFL, and once again, more Tennessee Titans COVID drama. Ray, I'm not sure how you feel about this whole situation, but I've really come full circle from understanding to kind of upset with the Tennessee Titans as a whole. And I kind of wanted to know what your thoughts were on it, because as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I'm a little bit biased at this point, considering our last game got turned into a bye, and now they're talking about possibly canceling this game because of the COVID. And, I don't know, if this game gets canceled and they end up counting it as a forfeit, then I think there's a conversation to be had about the Pittsburgh Steelers also getting a free win. I don't know, it's getting very messy, and it would be less messy if the Tennessee Titans would have followed the rules.
Yeah, and in my opinion, they're in we could just jump right into Odell's bedroom right now. The Tennessee Titans took a shit 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And they refuse to follow rules. I don't know who you hold accountable. I'm guessing it's coaching staff. And I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. He kind of always has like a little attitude about stuff. But I'm saying this, there's too many playoff implications with the Titans versus Steelers and the Titans versus the Bills. If this was like the Titans versus the Jaguars, or even my team, the Broncos, it doesn't matter as much. Postpone to the end of the season. If it happens, great. If not, they forfeit. It doesn't hurt their seeding at all. But this will have to be played out. I mean, if the Titans have to forfeit to the Bills, then they should forfeit to the Steelers as well, because that's fair as fair. The NFLPA will definitely get involved, I'm sure, and there's too much money, too much time, too much everything involved for them not to have these games played.
I think it's a perfect storm of two things. One, the Players Association should be pissed, because if the coaching staff did suggest that they should practice on outside of, first off, the agreed terms of the COVID stuff, but also in the bye week, which, is literally like, that's a big no-no. That's like your 10-minute break at a normal union job or whatever, it's kind of one of the
break.
Exactly. So that is a negotiated thing, and they're not supposed to be working out. And if it's between the players, that's still an issue, because the coaching staff should be on top of it, making sure it's very clear that nobody is doing anything. It still falls on them no matter what. I don't know. It's such a messy situation. I think that it's just irresponsible all the way around. So you have the Players Association should be pissed, rightfully so, because they're the union. Roger Goodell in the NFL should be pissed, because you're already up against the odds to get this season played, but you have teams not complying. You've already issued how many fines to different teams for not following guidelines, and then you have this come about on a team that has possibly the biggest outbreak and has had the most influence on the season and scheduling. At what point do you say we have to we have to draw the line here? We can't just have one team deciding how this season's played out. And it was one thing whenever they decided they were going to, they just had a random outbreak. But now, to encourage things and see the path the way things have went, I don't know. I think you have to talk about forfeiting games.
Yeah, I would agree with you. But once again, I think that with the NFLPA being involved, that's not going to happen, because there's money involved. These players don't get to play that game. It's not the entire team's fault, which as a team you have to hold each other accountable, yada, yada, yada. But with that said, in my opinion, it's going to have to go into a regional bubble. They're going to have to do what the playoffs are doing in baseball right now, because there's just no way to keep these guys from being responsible. Cam Newton openly admitted, hey, guys, wear your mask, keep your distance. I should have done that, and I didn't. I'm sick. I let my team down. We lost a game, which they were probably going to lose anyways, but he would have gave them a better shot to win the way he was playing, and his redemption story just kind of woo. So with the Titans, I think you have to suspend the coach. You just have to send a message somehow. I don't think you forfeit games. I think you just pretty much say, hey, who doesn't have COVID? We're a fielding team. If you lose, that's on you. You shouldn't have let your players gallivant around, and your coaching staff isn't allowed to be there the rest of the year, so you have to figure out what you're going to do for coaching.
Well,
That's my opinion.
the problem is if they have more positives before the game this week, they have to either add another week onto the season or they have to forfeit that game. If they forfeit this game, then they have to consider whether they should have forfeited both games. That's wherever it gets really tricky.
If I'm the Steelers, I'm definitely sending a league message out. I'm saying, hey,
Right.
where's our win? Because that's a divisional. That's not divisional. That's a game that you play in the AFC.
Tiebreakers, everything included.
Tiebreaker.
Yes.
It's definitely has playoff implications. They're all three good teams. Those are three playoff teams. The Bills, the Steelers, and the Titans are all three projected to go to the playoffs. So I don't know if you just cut the Titans out and say, hey, guess what, guys? You're done playing football. Your fault. You basically caused everybody else to get sick. It's on you guys, You're done.
I guess the only possible solution I could think of is if they confangled it in a way where the Titans get 2 automatic losses, the Steelers and the Bills play the week that the Steelers and the Titans were supposed to play. And somehow they moved the Bills bye week around so that works. I don't know, because then you could give 2 wins to the Steelers and the Bills, and then also have them play a meaningful game that has similar playoff implications.
Well, things that you guys wouldn't care about, or our listeners, our viewers would care about, or even you and I care about. But do the Steelers still get paid for everything? Do they get a paycheck still? Like, how does that work for them? Because they have to play to get that paycheck, or they get a less amount for whatever is usually the deal.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, that's above my pay grade. I think that's where the players' union needs to step in, especially with these bye weeks being enforced on a whim's notice that, hey, if this is indeed a bye week, then our players shouldn't have to be at work because they're not getting paid. So
yeah, they got to keep their mouth shut.
They earn that week of they earn that entire week of pay, or they don't. And so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out.
Do the Titans get disgruntled? I think they just got to keep their mouth shut and just take the punishment as it comes. And there's nothing you could say to kind of rectify what's going on. I don't know if it was just one guy, a couple guys, but as a team, Phil Lindsay told his teammates, and I'm a Broncos fan, so I follow him a bit. He told his teammates, like, hey, I got a girl at home. I don't make that much money. You guys are putting my family at risk. You're putting me at risk. You're putting my money at risk if you guys get me sick. So be adults, be grown men. And if you get me sick, we're going to have a conversation. I'm like, okay. The little man will fight you if you give him COVID, was his point.
Well, I think that's the most important thing. I don't know, to be honest, not to harp on this too long, but my kind of problem with the NFL's take on this is it's still kind of hush-hush because they're just looking for testing. You could still, in theory, be, you know what I mean? Like, you could still be contagious, not testing. Like, there is a layover period, and it goes back to all of the newness that comes with this virus. And
it's a bit political, too. I mean, there's political in there. We all know Goodell and those guys try to stay out of politics. With that said, politics are always involved in this stuff, too. So they're trying to be like, it's not that big a deal, or...
Yeah.
Damn it, until somebody dies. If somebody in the NFL dies from that's going to be a big deal.
They have to they've made it known that they want the league to go on, so they have to try and make it work whatever which way, and that means making things sound better than they are sometimes. And that's the way the NFL has rolled for years, and I would expect nothing less of the game where we bash each other in the head until we are so stupid we can't function.
Some of those guys were on track to be doctors, and now they're probably not going to be.
Fitzpatrick could still be a doctor. He did go to Harvard. People forget.
Hey, he did. And Julius Thomas quit football to go pursue being, I think, a doctor, but he was terrible. That's what I tell people. He just had to go be a doctor. It wasn't anything. It didn't he didn't take the choice to go be a doctor. He was just trash on the field after leaving the Broncos that he went to go be a doctor.
Yeah, he couldn't take it anymore. And Jermichael Finley also chose to not play football again because he couldn't.
Yeah.
It's a tragic story. I watched that guy's career end on a play. That was an insane play.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to play ever again.
Yeah, absolutely insane. There was a point in time where they were saying the Steelers were looking at bringing him in 2 years after the injury, and I was like, no, I remember that hit. This is Like,
it's like, well, to be fair though, after Paul George ripped his leg off in front of everybody, the first time he was on the court, he went up for a dunk. I was like,
legs are one thing. Your brain is not a
yeah,
muscle.
I know. I'm just saying, in general, the injuries, it sometimes they come back from them, and you're like, oh, they're better than they ever were.
Wait, is a brain a muscle? I don't really know. I just said that. Just kind of like made up some science. Brains are not muscles. Man. I don't know.
You might have pulled a muscle in your brain recently, so I have no clue.
Maybe I have like concussion. I need to go through concussion protocol.
No.
I'm not sure.
All right, you want to jump into some MLB stuff right now?
Yeah, it sounds good.
So, I mean, we're still in the playoffs here. It looks like Atlanta is going to go on to face either the Padres or Dodgers. So we're looking at that. It's going to be the Dodgers. They're already up 2-0. It's not. I mean, Cinderella stories. There's not going to happen this year in baseball. And then the cheating-ass Astros.
That's a Cinderella story. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that's the evil That's the evil stepmother. You need a bad guy to have a Cinderella story. So yeah, it is happening.
I'm going to say this. It's going to
be
Tampa
the Dodgers,
Bay
Astros.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I don't want to see that.
That is the Cinderella story. You have the
Astros.
I get it. I understand. Regardless, that is the ultimate. You have a villain, a bad villain, one that did somebody wrong, and a chance for them to redeem themselves over the person that did them wrong.
I would rather see it's Tampa Bay and the Yankees right now. Tampa's up 2-1, but the Yankees have some pitching. They can come back. They just got to win 2 in a row. I mean, when this airs, maybe the Yankees are out of it. I'd rather see the Yankees get their revenge against the Astros and knock them out.
Fine.
I'd rather see, but I'm a Yankees fan, so it's a little biased. With that said,
Aaron Judge is so ugly. I seen him on a Hulu commercial, and he's just in my face and on Hulu looking ugly. I'm tired of him. He literally looks like an uglier version of Blake Griffin. I'm not sure how that's possible, but it is what he is. He's almost like Lurch's son.
He's bigger than him.
He's like Frankenstein's son. Like, he could be on the cover of Count Chocula or whatever the fuck, Blueberry.
Hey, man, he's on the cover of Wheaties. That's where he's
I know, but you paint him blue, and he could be on that monster cereal that's the blue Frankenstein. That's Blueberry. What's the monster?
I don't know.
There's
Count
Count Chocula. There's Blueberry, and there's one more, and he's a fucking zombie. A Frankenstein, and that's Aaron Judge, and I'm tired of him being on my ads. So Facebook, if you're listening,
definitely put more Aaron
Judge
on.
Please put less Aaron Judge on my ads. I'm tired of it.
Now listen. Aaron Judge is entertaining for baseball, and he brought a lot more eyes to baseball. A lot of kids, we live in Ohio, and I see Judge jerseys everywhere here, and it's kind of cool. He's a good guy. I agree he is an ugly dude, but he is good for baseball, and I mean he just can hit. He can just hit. He strikes out or he homers. That's it.
Can you trust anybody around your city with that many bandwagon fans? Like, they aren't loyal to shit, let alone you and your community. It's outrageous. I would be angry, personally.
The options we have are the Pirates. Nobody's rooting for the Pirates.
The Pirates have a nice ballpark.
That they do have a really good ballpark. Then we have the Reds, who are the smallest market team. So I kind of do root for the Reds.
Reds are kind of low key cool.
I kind of work for a radio station. We play the Reds over the radio, which I mean, and I've met a couple of guys. It's pretty cool.
You're on the radio.
I mean, the guys are really nice.
I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but Ray is on the radio sometimes, and he's actually on the show too.
And then we have the Cleveland Indians, which that's racist. So I don't root for Wahoo anymore.
Yeah.
The Cleveland baseball team, as I'll call them from now on.
Yeah, Cleveland baseball team. No, I said it before, though. Cleveland baseball team and the Cubs was the 2020 matchup. Maybe that's what set all this up. It was like the Mayan calendar, the Cleveland baseball team versus the Cubs, and here we are at the end of the world, and the Browns are 3-1, and life is weird.
So that's really all we have about baseball. There's not much more going on. We're in full swing. The playoffs are going. We're almost there to the World Series. We almost made it to the World Series. We're getting there, barring a super corona outbreak, but they're doing the right thing. They've quarantined. They've, they've locked their players down, they bubbled them, and we're gonna get it. It's gonna happen. I think they're gonna let fans in for World Series. I read somewhere like a small amount, but
October
we'll
baseball,
see.
nothing like it, you know.
Mr. October. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, we'll update you as we go. I think that we'll have a better picture by Sunday night show. We'll be able to tell you who's in and who's out from there, and we'll go from there. And that's all I have for that's all I have to say about that.
And boom goes the dynamite. All right, what about these fucking Lakers? So are they gonna lose one more before they win it all, or like what's gonna happen?
So I'll say this, and we've talked about this about LeBron not getting calls in the past on one of our shows. So Jimmy Butler had the complete opposite. He went off, but with that said, he got every call his way on both sides of the ball, and the Lakers played really bad. They had over 20 turnovers, and they still barely lost a game. So people are like, "Oh, they're going to take back." I'm like, "Listen, that's the worst game the Lakers have played almost all year, including back last October when they started playing basketball."
But we haven't seen a healthy Heat team either.
No, that's true, and that is sad. And I think that they're better off playing the underdog. That's how they've made it this far, is playing the underdog. And I just think that if we have the last game will be tomorrow for us. This will probably be later today for you guys watching. But with that said, we have this game, and I think they close it out. I just think AD really wants his first championship. LeBron wants the season to be over. He wants to, go whoop Bronny's ass for smoking weed. And it's going to be done. And then we'll see. I mean, because AD's contract is up. We have to remember that. And they kind of have to win for him to stay. I don't know if that's true or not.
But I think there's a scenario where it means either. It means he leaves, too.
I agree. But I say this. I don't think he leaves if he wins, because he is an LA guy. And like, he loves – that's his whole thing. He wanted to be in LA for years now, Clippers or Lakers. And he wanted to be there to do movies and do commercials and be that guy.
He's so ugly, though. That's the problem.
He is. And he looks like an alien. I mean, he was in Men in Black as an alien, a commercial or something like that. So he's pretty cool. I don't know, man. I see AD staying. LeBron will be there. We'll keep the key players.
Okay, so hear me out. LeBron's going to get home and give Bronny James a whole ounce of weed and be like, we're going to smoke that Heat pack, huh? Let's see, that Lakers, or it'll be the Cali pack, and just make him smoke until he's so sick. Yeah, he's so sick, and he can't. Yeah, take that. You gotta keep. You want to be a big stoner, or you want to be an NBA superstar like me, and a drunk
this is how Akron
wine
dads
addict.
do it, boy.
Yeah, we drink wine every night. It's acceptable.
Taco Tuesday, my ass. This is swallow an ounce of weed Tuesday, boy. Get your ass over here.
Yeah, R.I.P. Bronny James.
Y'all say this, man.
Think how good he could be.
Listen, I don't know if you ever watched any highlights of Bronny James.
Yeah, they've only showed him since fucking he was 6 years old on the Little Tykes thing, shooting hoops. We've only seen his entire life worth of highlights. We've never seen any more highlights of a player.
The pressure he's going to have.
Yeah, it's going to skip a generation. Braun's grandson will be the guy. Bronny Braun will be LeBron. He'll be the heir to the throne. LeBron will be the coach. Bronny James will be literally just on the team, pretty much like as I don't know. He'll be
Luke Walton. He'll be Luke Walton, is what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that. Like he's just kind of there, assistant coach.
Yeah, Luke Walton was a good seventh, eighth man rotation. He was a good rotation guy. Get the guys water when they need it.
Bronny James, Austin Rivers.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen, but...
I mean, seriously, though, we've seen highlights from this kid his entire life. I guarantee if we go back on SportsCenter Instagram, we could find videos of Bronny James shooting on a Little Tykes hoop.
Yeah, you're right, man.
Now he's smoking that loud.
He's smoking that up, man. He's smoking that heat.
They grow up so fast. They really do.
They really do. He'll make it in the league, man. I mean, I think he'll be okay. And I don't know. We'll see. If we only have a couple years to figure this out. We'll hopefully still be doing this show. We'll be like, you remember that time he got his ass whooped by his dad for smoking a blunt?
Now he's got like a weed sponsor on his jersey.
I hope.
Something.
Yeah, right. I hope he doesn't get addicted
I'm Bronny
to it.
James, and I love I love smoking weed, as you know, from when I was a kid.
If you do recall, I was a meme. But yeah, the NBA is almost done, and I'm excited now. I don't know when they're starting the season back up. I thought I read something about December, but
yeah, Christmas. Christmas makes sense.
It would have started back up the 31st of October, around that last week of October. That's the season.
Just run it.
The season starts last week of October, really.
Let the fans
So I
in.
don't know what they're doing. They have to have Christmas basketball, I feel. I almost feel like you have to have Christmas basketball games. That's like a tradition now.
It's kind of a tradition. At least I feel like it's a tradition in the sense that it happens and everybody says that's happening. It's definitely not Thanksgiving
That's literally
football.
the definition of a tradition, to be clear.
Yeah,
like
but it's not Thanksgiving football
year.
where I see people turning on football that don't watch football all year long. Christmas basketball is a nice asset to Christmas because Christmas is a low-key, boring holiday as an adult.
Unless it's on Sunday.
Yes, unless it's on Sunday. So the Christmas basketball is clutch. I do agree. I like it. But I think it's a little bit overhyped.
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say about that.
The Christmas games are always good. That's all I got to say about that. The Christmas games are always good matchups, though, too. So
true.
They're out there. So MMA, there's nothing really going on in MMA this week other than Conor McGregor agreed to fight Poirier for a fight. It was originally a charity fight, but now the UFC wouldn't let him do it. So they agreed to fight in UFC. The UFC says, hey, you guys can fight here. And Conor basically tweeted him, says, hey, we got to get it done this year before the year's up. And I'll still donate $500,000 to the charity.
Well, props to him.
We'll see how it
fuck
goes.
the UFC for not getting in on that somehow, if they could.
Well, they did. That's the point. They wouldn't let him fight. They wouldn't let him just go do a charity event, amateur fight, exhibition.
Well, that's what I
want.
want.
They said, no, you're fighting here.
No, I want amateur refs.
Yeah.
But also, let's just say this: I will believe this fight is there an actual date yet?
No. He has 3
exactly
days
because there's been about 55 Conor McGregor fights agreed upon in the last 13 days.
This is a fight he could actually win, so I think he does want it. I mean,
he could beat Manny Pacquiao too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I hope he could.
What?
He couldn't beat
that was
Floyd.
I just feel like just a week ago it was like McGregor's about to fight Manny Pacquiao for charity.
For charity. Well, he just pulled his dick out in front of somebody or something like that.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to... He's on he's doing the T.I. I make a whole album that sucks dick to apologize to the world because I'm kind of a shitty person deal.
Yeah, I think that we'll see how it goes, man. And UFC is going to be rolling. There's some good cards coming up. And,
let me say this also about Conor McGregor. And unless you have anything else to talk about this fight, I keep cutting you off.
That's all I got.
Conor McGregor is a cartoon character. I love that about him. That being said, ever since Ryan Fitzpatrick did the Conor McGregor kind of dealio, they are the same fucking person to me. Like, I see them the same now. Like, obviously,
tough as fuck.
Fitzy has a longer beard. Most of the time, it looks a little more rough, but they are very similar. And
you think he has a better ground game?
I ask you this: have you ever seen Conor McGregor and Ryan Fitzpatrick in the same place at the same time?
No, I have not, man. Ever. It's never happened.
Begs the question.
They might be the same dude. It might be like a beard weave. And
also, speaking on Fitzpatrick, just while I'm on my tangent here, is he like not the most like? It might be the most comeback career story ever. He went from being a piece of... No, but regardless of that, I'd say pre-New York Jets, Ryan Fitzpatrick was a joke. He was a laughing stock and a random, just regular journeyman quarterback that was kind of nobody really cared about, was a butt of the jokes, if anything. And then he became like the year Brandon Marshall and on becomes like this urban legend to the fact that where it's like, is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? Like, what do we say about him though? He climbs the numbers. He comes in consistently and does big things. Like, he doesn't have the portfolio, but statistically, which is what we base so much on nowadays, he's accomplished a lot of it, and it's kind of hilarious.
Climbing the ladder.
And
he's
impressive.
Climbing the ladder.
But I would say it is one of the most impressive career changes like that I can think of.
Well, I mean,
at least image-wise.
I would say this. he's gonna always get a chance to start. And that's the thing is people are like, oh, my starter's not doing well, let's put him in. Josh Rosen, we trade for him, he's not doing well, let's put him in. And this year, we have a rookie, we don't want to put him out there the first game, get him killed, let's put him in. And then you get Fitzmagic, and people don't know how to game plan for him, I don't think. Because when they do, the second half of the year, Fitzmagic is usually run up. It's run its course. He's always done. He'll come in again. He'll get back in and throw for 6 touchdowns and 1,000 yards. Holy shit!
I think it's less teams game planning for him and more over game planning on their side, on the offensive side. I think that he is one of those just pure athletic quarterback types that, like, when he's just out there slinging it or like in a 2-minute off drill type deal, he will go out there and just make plays. He's a playmaker. But whenever it's coming down to like the actual like technical play calling, logical side of the game, he seems to not have that, which is weird because he went to Harvard and he should be a genius.
He's the smartest guy to ever play football, I think, right? He's had the highest Wonderlic test or something like that. Wouldn't that was the thing?
That's what they say, yeah.
Him and Luck, but like he's brilliant. With that said, he just knows how to game plan. He knows how to get the ball where he's going. He can play football. Yep. It's just he's not super athletic.
So he's maybe he's so smart. All he can do is scripted play drives.
Yeah, realistically, he's just the man sometimes. Like when he takes off running and he dives head first, you just think this dude loves football. And I think I'm a fan of him. Like I don't want him on my team because it's what I don't need right now. Yeah. I don't need him because he's going to play. That means we are losing. Like that means we're in tank mode if he's playing, and he's going to win us a couple games. But I'm a fan of his, and you might be right. If he plays for another 5 to 10 years, who the hell knows where he ends up stat-wise? He might never win. He might Trent Dilfer it, or even though I hate Trent Dilfer.
If you're top 10 in yards, he might touchdowns, maybe. Fucking Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl, dude. Literally, you string 5 good games together, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And look at Joe Flacco, he's still starting. Maybe he'll get the Fitzmagic back end of his career, starting.
You want to jump back in NFL and talk about him getting the start up there?
That's perfect. We'll get to it in a bit. Let's do fantasy first, and then we're going to come back around to that shitty game.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about. So, go ahead and give me your. Let's talk about this real quick.
Fantasy football?
Yeah, let's talk about fantasy football. I want to say something about fantasy football.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nobody wants to trade me, and I'm offering good ass players, and I legit was just dicking around people, even just sending non-stop trades. People won't even decline me. Are we just? But with that said, I know other people in my league, i.e. Corey, i.e. our buddy Brett, who are getting great trades, and I'm dude, I offered a better. I'm giving these fools top players, and they're oh no. Let's give our RB1 for a third-string wide receiver today. And I'm what the fuck is going on here? Is it just not trade season yet? Are people nervous about what do you think's going on?
Well, I'm the best at trades. Everybody knows that. I'm the best. Seriously, and all seriousness, I don't know. I think you just suck at trades, and I think that you're being a little bit too conservative this year. That's just my personal opinion. Obviously, the people listening don't know you as a player, but you usually suck at trading, so I think this year you've been a little bit more cautious, trying to save your ass.
Let's give the backstory. I have made about 5 years, every time I made a trade to somebody, they win the whole league. That's what happens. This year, I'm listen, I'm not giving up somebody unless you're paying me.
Maybe the twist is maybe you don't need to make that trade this year. You need to stay the course and keep that player that puts – yeah.
Yeah, I got CMC on the bench, guys.
You've played with yourself for years. Trade with yourself.
32 years I've been playing with myself.
There you go. Exactly. Maybe it's time to just explore your body a little more. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But no, seriously, I felt like our league's kind of different. I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate. It's I usually can't get a trade done unless the other person feels like they're gaining something too. A lot of people aren't just trading willy-nilly, so that's just kind of how it goes. You just got to keep sending them offers.
We've been in the same league for years. I didn't get a
single trade offer for Travis Kelce. I've sent you 15, no counters at all, so it's kind of your own fault.
Yeah, to be fair, like I said, I'm not giving away for a ham sandwich. But
I just started. But with that, you anchor.
I'll say this. It's a problem. I think when you're in leagues for a long time with the same people. Now we've had some people jump in and out who suck real bad, but we have people who jump in and out. People got addicted to marijuana and couldn't be in anymore and things like that. But we do have a good group of people who do know what they're doing. So they're like you said, they have to really feel like they're winning. And sometimes I'm like, damn. How do I get this trade? Like, how do I get these guys to let them feel like they're winning? They're not, and I have to get like a player. Like I have Christian McCaffrey. I have to like get rid of him and get back like Kamaru and then somebody else.
Yeah.
And hope that's my thought. But I mean, anybody with a brain's not going to make that trade. I wouldn't do that shit.
I think some people are just kind of spiteful just because it's the nature of the league, and that's just kind of how it goes.
So I think we'll say after this week and maybe next week, I think is going to be people are going to be right there. We're like, okay, how do I make my playoff push, or how do I get there? Let's get these trades done. Let's do it.
3-1. I'll take that all day. Except for in your keeper league where I'm new to the league again after quitting a year and coming back, and I'm undefeated. So your team, that league sucks. They picked the worst keepers of all time. I don't know how I ended up with 3 first-round draft picks, but I did.
We have similar players in that league as the other one. With that said, with the keeper, it's weird because my wife's in that league and she always does really well, even though she's not winning. But like her points against are crazy. So you had a week where you went off and almost scored 200 points. Then she scored like 160. Then the next week you scored like 109 points and still won after putting up a 200 burger. It's just like how like lucky can one person get? And I'm playing guys who are terrible teams who have like Thielen going off. I'm like, oh come on, like garbage time Thielen. That's bullshit.
That's just fantasy football, man. That's just the way it goes. Yeah. That's what we live for. Is that nonsense? With that being said, without giving too much away to the rest of our league mates, if they are listening to this show, which they're probably not, because they're all
fuck
assholes.
Yourself. No.
Let's do our keep trade cut. And starts with the week for fantasy football. I'll go first. Keep. I got Jonnu Smith. I know there's a lot of controversy around the Tennessee Titans right now, obviously. We're not sure if they're going to play this game, what's going to happen. Even if they don't play this game again, Jonnu Smith is still the number 8 tight end in PPR in all of fantasy football, and that was with taking last week off. If that's not enough to convince you to keep this guy on your roster, at least on your bench for a flex play or a substitution at tight end, I don't know what else is. For my trade away, I got Gaskin. Call me crazy. I don't know. His values went down a lot, obviously. Maybe this isn't as big of a warning sign as it would be as me saying trade Robinson from Jacksonville, but similar situations where I would say Gaskin is on a bad team and his performance will fluctuate, and what you get out of him, especially with Jordan Howard and Matt Breida getting goal line work, what you get out of Gaskin is random. So I would take his highest floor, which I'm not sure what he did last weekend, probably around 15 or so.
14 or something like that.
I would take him while he's hot.
He has value.
Has value and flip him into a more reliable asset. Or if your team's in a position to do so, because you have a good record, maybe a long-term asset like my trade for Julio Jones. That might be a trade that you could actually make happen, and I'm not saying that Julio Jones is going to be a Julio Jones that we're used to this season, but if your team has the record to do so and the luxury at the running back position, that's a nice trade you can make and possibly really upgrade your wide receiver 2 spot. So that's my trade for candidate. You probably got to hold on to him for a few weeks, and I'm not quite sure about their bye week, but Julio Jones owners are hurting, and they probably had enough at this point. Cut, which is funny because this was actually on my start of the week 2 weeks ago. AJ Green, I've moved on from him. I had utmost confidence in him on our last Thursday show 2 weeks ago whenever I thought he was going to go off. He is not going off. 2 weeks in a row, it's gotten worse, and at this point it seems evident that T. Higgins has taken over that number 2 spot, with Boyd being number 1, as we've seen, and Sample also getting a lot of work in the tight end game. Joe Mixon going the fuck off. Where does AJ Green fit into all this? I just don't see it. And even if he does, are you going to feel confident starting him? I don't think so. He's one of those players that's just going to clog your bench up. You're going to think about starting him. You might feel okay with the upside in a pinch, but there's probably better guys on the waivers.
Yeah. Burrow's not looking for him, which is unfortunate because I think he could help him out a lot. He's not connecting with him.
He could still turn it around. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
it's possible he still is AJ Green deep down inside. Whether he can harness that, I don't know. I'm not convinced.
He's still got hands. He's still got hands.
I haven't
one of the best
seen
50-50 guys out there. Yeah. All right, so I'll jump into mine. My keep is going to be Christian McCaffrey. He's come. If you have him, don't trade him. Don't do anything crazy. Even though I've sent some trades out there.
You just said you were just trying to trade him.
I was being a bit of a smart ass with it. I really don't want to trade because my fear is I'm going to trade him. He's going to come back next week and go off for 50 freaking points because he's like, I still got it. And plus, McCaffrey's a Denver guy. Love the guy. Keep him on your team. Don't get rid of him. Trade away Mike Davis, his backup. He's got value. Trade him while you can. See what's there. Now, he was my start of the week, and he did a really good job, and he's done a really good job filling in. Like I said,
he looks fast, dude. He literally looks.
He's good.
He looks like Maurice Jones-Drew, like reincarnated. When I see him run, he looks like a little bowling ball out there. Like that's how Maurice Jones-Drew used to look.
He'll be on a team next year and probably get a starting gig. Now, with that
Maurice
said,
Jones-Drew 3 times fast.
Maurice Jones-Drew. MJD. Now, with that said, Mike Davis is a baller, but when CMC comes back, it's one guy runs that offense, and that's him. Trade for Boyd. You talked about it. I agree with you about AJ Green. As much as I like him, if I'm watching these Bengals games and it's kind of not going his way, it's definitely Boyd. Boyd's the guy. That's who he looks for. You can watch Burrow looking for him instantly. That's where his eyes are going. Boom. Where's Boyd at? I'm going to throw it to him no matter where he's at. Cut Malcolm Brown, man. My failed week 1 big purchase off of the waiver wire. I thought he was going to be my saving grace after Fournette took a crap. Get rid of him. He's just Akers is back. It looks like he's not going to do anything.
I don't want anything to do with that backfield personally. It seems like it could go week to week. It is the ultimate committee, and not in a good way. I mean, San Francisco committee is much. It is almost the exception to the rule because you can have
getting most of that though.
But even still, you can have 3 startable running backs out of San Francisco, as we've seen last year multiple times. Yeah. But the Rams are not that offense, so don't get it twisted.
They're letting Goff throw it. They still got guys to catch it. Like it's different.
What do you feel? What's your before we go to the starts of the week? Just curious. What's your feel on? Speaking of that team, the Rams. What's your feel on Higbee? I mean, he's kind of people probably drafted him, early enough that they're trying to decide whether they should stay with their investment or move on at this point.
See, my new philosophy recently. This is why I've been a little more conservative this year. Is, people are what they are, and Higbee had one good week to start, and since then he's been around 8 points, 7-8 points a week. In our league, most PPR leagues, about 7-8 points. Mm-hmm. He's not getting the targets. He's not getting the looks. He's not getting the catches. He's blocking more. It's
touchdown dependent.
He might have a 30-point week coming up, but he's not going to average. He's not going to get you tight end one. He's not going to be a top 5 tight end. He's just not. It's not. I thought he was going to be, as many people did. It's not anymore. He is who he is. We've seen it the last couple weeks. That's who he is.
All right, that makes sense. Fair enough.
A bye week filler. Let's put it that way. He's a bye week filler.
Yeah, that's good, but you're not going to get him at a bye week filler price. At least not yet. That's why I was kind of, I guess, suggesting to people what they should do if they should move on now. All right, so we got to get on time. We're just going to run through some of these matchups this week. All the matchups.
You got to start. You forgot your start of the week, Corey. Start of the week.
Shit, my start of the week in fantasy football.
Come on, man.
My bad. My start of the week is my boy James Conner against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are good at one thing, and that is blitzing the quarterback. And I look for the Steelers to run early and run often.
Big holes.
James Conner is the Steelers want to run the ball. So if he's in the game, he's going to get you 100 yards, 1 touchdown definitely. You're looking at 15 points minimum. Run Conner.
I think that you're being a little hard on yourself. I thought more points by him.
I'm always conservative.
Zeke's going to go off against the Giants. I mean, they suck. And Zeke is really good. And the Cowboys are pissed. They lost to the Browns. And Zeke still played well. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing after that you can't go to another team that's considered not that good and then lose or even have a close game. So he's going to go there. I'm guessing 2 touchdowns, maybe one each, one rushing, one catching, one receiving. I mean, and he's gonna have over 100 yards. He's gonna go the fuck off. 30 points. I'll say 30 points. Let's just go there.
All right, yeah, sounds good. I don't disagree. And Zeke has been having, I don't know if you could call it low key, but kind of low key, very, very good year, because I actually have him in a league, and I was kind of like the other day, I'm like, who could I trade? In my head, I immediately was like, what has Zeke even done this year? So I got to look, and I'm like, well, shit, he's very, very good. I'm glad that I checked.
I mean, right now it's obviously Alvin Kamara as the number 1 running back, but he's catching him. He's right there with him, and he's
Dalvin Cook.
He's like second year in a row where he's been real quiet, but putting up, I mean, Hall of Fame numbers. I think
Cook has been the same way. Like Dalvin Cook has been cooking. Like that dude is he's an animal. Hopefully that we can see him put together a whole season, full of games, and that's how I feel about all these running backs every single year. I never feel any different, even if they're not on my fantasy team. I think that running back statistics are one of the most uninfluenced statistics in all of football. It's almost one of the most pure that we have. So anytime a running back is capable of trying to push one of those records, like the yardage or touchdowns, I want to see it. And I think they have the skills to do that. Like, I want to see that, because running the football is fucking hard. I was
pissed when AP got so close that one year, right?
Yeah, man.
And then just
I remember rooting for Jamal Williams back in the day, just trying, and I hate the fucking Ravens, but he was so close to getting that mark. There's something deep rooted in natural about rushing the football that can't argue about.
It's old school. It's the old school part of the game. I mean, I'm with you.
All right, perfect. All right, so right now, currently, we have the Buccaneers and the Bears going on. Do you have an update on that game? I have one.
It's 10-0 in the second quarter.
That sounds about as boring as I expected. You guys can check the score of that after listening to this, or before probably. So I'm just going to move on to next on my list.
37-0 is my or 37-10.
37
is my projection.
10. Okay, that sounds about right. It will probably just get blown out in the second half. All right, Jaguars Texans. This is, do you think this game is going to be super boring, or one of those sneaky good games?
This is going to be a weird game, because I don't know. I think on paper and in my head thinking, oh, we lost our coach. Every time a substitute coach comes in, the team plays really good.
Yep.
That's a thing in the NFL. And they're already they're the best 0-4 team by far. Hell, they're better than most teams that are 3-1 in my opinion.
Yep.
And they're gonna, I think, put some numbers up. They're gonna be sitting starters in the fourth.
I think so too. I think that the Jaguars are pretenders. I think they're lucky to have the success they've had thus far in the season. It was probably
one win.
Yeah, but they've
every close game.
They played well, and I would say they've played beyond what people have expected them to do. Let me say that.
Absolutely.
Whereas the Texans have done the opposite and played below what people expected them to do.
They played good. It's just been really bad play call. It's really
Bill O'Brien. Yeah.
Yeah, which we talked about, and I wanted to, on the record, go back and look at that when I said Bill O'Brien's going to be fired.
Yeah,
sure as shit. He was the first coach fired.
The Pittsburgh game was hilarious, because that was probably the start of the conversation. And the funniest thing is, I remember the broadcast saying Bill O'Brien's record is it was immaculate with a halftime lead, right? Because he just slows the game down or whatever, and then it didn't go that way.
Boom, lost it.
Yeah.
He's one of those coaches who remind me he's like a Jeff Fisher, who people praise all the time, but when you look at the record, they're losers, historically losers, and then he was GM. You got to think of all the bad deals he's made as coach, as advisor, whatever you want to call it. Brock Osweiler, $18 million, and then getting rid of the best football player in their franchise's history, which I'll say that again, the best football player in their franchise's history.
Johnson, he says.
I mean, he's the best player in their franchise history. Like that, it's just no doubt. Like he is the best player.
You're right.
And he just gives them away. Like he's like, sure, fucking take him. That's like you guys, like in Ben's prime, or right when, let's say 3 years ago, we'll say even getting rid of Ben for like a 7th round pick.
Right.
It's like like why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't think there's really much else to say about this game except that I think the Texans come out and probably put some wins together. They're a better team than their record, and they have a chip on their shoulder now and a reason to play. And Jacksonville's not.
They're going
good.
streak. They're going streaking. Let's put it that way.
All right, Panthers Falcons. This game is interesting. Divisional game, obviously, just the same as the last. But
this will be the closest game in my opinion this week.
The Falcons have to win, right? I mean,
they have. But
I said that last year, you know.
Hey, who is it? 900 number?
It's Brett. It's from the league. Let's see what. Let's put him on the video. What's up, Brett?
Dude, what a wild week.
Yeah. You're on a podcast right now.
Oh, nice.
Bitch.
What's up, boys?
Hold on.
What's up, homie?
All right.
Give me some trades.
Brett, before we go, we're talking about the Panthers and Falcons. Who do you want to pick?
Dude, give me the Panthers, bro. The Falcons can't do anything right.
Okay.
I agree with you 1,000%.
All right, fair enough. I'll talk to you here. I'll call you back here in just a few.
Sounds good, buddy.
Later.
Sign off. Bye-bye.
That was great. Perfect timing.
I'm sure that it's going to look great without any editing, and I'm probably going to cut it out. All right.
Don't cut it out. That was good stuff.
Yeah, we love that. So,
yeah,
the Falcons have been in must-win mode for like 3 weeks now, so it's like I don't know if they're going to do it. That offense looked fucking terrible at the end of the game on Monday night. Like, Ray, I have as a gauge, that has gauge on multiple teams and Hurst on multiple teams. What kind of fucking personnel groupings are you throwing out there when this guy named Zacchaeus or whatever the fuck is your leading receiver? What are those formations? Because they kept showing as Monday Night Football is very, 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 like, their graphics are right on it every time it shows you the personnel groupings.
Yeah.
Most of the time, as somebody paying attention, Hurst and Gage were not out there, and you would think that would be their number 2 and number 3 receiving options.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe there was like early. They kind of realized that the game plan was basically to shut those guys down pretty quickly. But with that said, it's not like they used Gurley. I mean, I don't know. Is this another situation where the coach is just as bad as people think, and you are what your record says you are? I mean, it's just.
But he went to the Super Bowl. Like Dan Quinn, at least has had a lot of success. They've struggled in the last few seasons.
He had Kyle Shanahan, who's proven to be really good coach.
Okay, so maybe he needs a better offensive coordinator, but that doesn't mean he's a bad coach because he has had a lot of success with the Falcons. They've had some bad seasons recently, but overall.
Well, you said it though. You said that they're not game planning right, so maybe it's the coordinator, but at the end of the day, it's still on him for letting your the two best options you currently have because everybody else is hurt. Not be in the game,
but Matt Ryan
Gage can play.
Matt Ryan doesn't look good either. Like,
is it on? And we said a couple weeks ago. Is it all on Matt Ryan? I mean, is he done?
Part of it is like
it's definitely time to look for a quarterback.
Even if it's not, it's time to reconsider your offensive strategy. Maybe opening up 5 wide and letting your guy try and throw for 50 times a game is not the strategy anymore. Yeah. And I know they brought in Todd Gurley. But Todd Gurley, they're already talking about Todd Gurley, man. They're talking about resting him in his knees on the sideline. I'm sorry, dude. Get the fuck out of here if I have to take your. No offense to anybody with arthritis, Ray, or whatever the fuck you got going on. But like, I'm sorry, but if I'm an NFL coach, owner, I am not bringing somebody in that I have to take their arthritis and overworking their arthritis into consideration. Like, and it's not like he came for like no money.
Yeah, he's getting paid. Now, let me speak on this arthritis. I have arthritis in my feet, in my ankles. which, it's funny because I'm only 32 years old. But
That makes
with that
it really
said,
funny.
with that said, it's because of, injuries and things like that, breaking my toes when I was in the military and just not taking care of myself.
Thank
Todd
you for
Gurley
your
definitely
service.
takes care of himself. Appreciate it. There's definitely a difference between me and Todd Gurley. Like, this guy takes care of himself. I had like 3 ho-hos today in a Reese's cup. So, like,
I get it. But whenever the broadcast is talking about the fact that the coaching staff is aware of the problems and they're resting it intentionally, that is not a guy that I want to rely on to carry the bulk of the carries on a position that is the most injured in all of football. What? You want a guy with pre-existing injuries to be in the most injured position in all of football? How does that make any sense ever?
But you have to come up with a better plan to at least make people think he's a threat. Like right now, everybody knows he's like not a threat until you get inside the 10. You're like, okay, maybe we'll let him run this for a touchdown.
How is he any different than Devontae Freeman?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, man. They should have kept him.
So you bring in you like that's what I'm saying. This team sucks.
Yeah.
I think they would be better if they got Julio healthy back.
You know what I think they need to do, and this is going to be crazy. They got to rebuild. Get rid of Julio. I mean, it's how many years you have of him? Are you contending with him right now? I don't think so. Because we both think Matt Ryan's done. I mean, this is. We could be wrong, but Matt Ryan's done.
At least
draft
in
a quarterback,
Atlanta,
get rid
he
of him.
could maybe have some success in the right system with the right team. But I think the Atlanta experience, it's played its course.
Get what you can for Julio now because he's going to leave on his own if you don't.
All right, let's keep it moving. The Panthers side of the ball, Teddy's been putting things together.
He wants to win. Teddy wants to win, and that means a lot. You could see him out there. He wants to win more than the other guy, and I mean. We talked about earlier with Fitzpatrick. He's a better player than Fitzpatrick, but he's got the same mentality. Like, I want to win this damn game at all costs. I don't care what it takes. Let's do this. Let's get it going. And Mike Davis stepped up. We've talked about that. Mike Davis stepped up. The team they're doing good, man.
I think that
is good.
Robbie Anderson is really good. He's been underrated his whole career. He still is underrated.
He's finally got somebody to throw him the ball.
I agree. And besides that, though, like DJ Moore has been a total letdown. On like he's supposed to be this, top tier receiver. He's kind of back to. He's great. He had 1,200 yards.
Yeah, I mean he was
insane.
He was good. I mean I was sitting there, I had him on fantasy I got him really late. I was like, this guy's awesome.
So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I think with them having CMC out, and this offense doesn't look much different. And that's my biggest takeaway from the Panthers so far. I'm not saying he doesn't improve the offense.
They look a little different. It gives Teddy more range. Let's put it that way. Teddy's doing more now. He's running more. But he's more than capable. I don't think they haven't taken. Let's just say they're not scoring less points because he's out. No.
And so once again,
scoring differently.
Begs the question: is CMC worth that paycheck? Think about where you can implement that money elsewhere. I don't know,
man.
It could be a problem.
I want him on another team.
But I'm saying I chalk that up to future problems for the future Panthers. Sure. Once you're a legitimate contender and you start pinching pennies and you have to make those cuts.
If Teddy earns more money, what do you do now? You're right. If Teddy starts earning quarterback one money,
then you're like, maybe we should be paying our running back all that money. It's not like we have Lamar Jackson. Okay, so Cardinals Jets. This is probably a snooze fest. I'm guessing Kyler Murray and the Cardinals get right. But
Kyler Murray scores 5 touchdowns this game.
Maybe Kenyon Drake finally decides to be a running back. And
Kyler Murray's the running back there now. It's
true.
He's
but
like, oh,
I expected Kenyon Drake to get a little more action out of the backfield than he has this year. He's kind of.
They're like Edmonds. Edmonds is getting a lot of.
Edmonds has got a lot of looks, which makes the trade for Drake last year make even less sense. But close. If you have Drake in fantasy football, Cliff Kingsbury did say this week that he needs to get him the ball in space more. So there might be brighter days on your horizon.
This way.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, Edmonds seems to really stepped up. Edmonds has always been a good player. He just hasn't got the opportunity.
And on the other side of the ball, because this game's going to suck, so I'm going to go with your boy, your favorite player, Uncle Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Uncle
getting
Joe.
A start.
Lev Bell is back.
Lev Bell's back, hopefully. I think that Darnold, I don't know what happened. You think he went all the way and went from mono to something more severe, or what do you think?
Some kind of poltergeist incident, something like that.
Why do you bench this kid? Like, this poor guy.
I thought he hurt his shoulder. I thought that's what I read, but I'm guessing that's not real.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Time in New York is over. So is Gase.
I might agree with that.
Jets are in full rebuild mode after the season. I wouldn't be surprised
good for
to
Darnold.
see Lawrence or something like that. I'm curious to see where Darnold goes. As you know, my boy Juju endorsed him coming to Pittsburgh. I wouldn't mind seeing him come sit under Big Ben. I mean,
he's still the youngest quarterback in the NFL, right? Even though he's been for 2 years, he's still the youngest guy. He's really young.
You would have to think that he at least has potential still, right? I always give
these 21.
guys...
I think he's barely old enough to drink. Let him, and he's got skill. He's got talent. I think. I said this about Jameis Winston. I still think Jameis Winston's the best fit for Pittsburgh.
Yep. Josh Rosen. It's the Tannehill. Tannehill makes the argument possible because he's the perfect example of a new situation and a more stable situation, allowing you
good
to
coaching.
Yes, and so
which I counter what I said earlier, but he does have a good football coach. Just
correct.
Shithead of a guy.
So, yeah, possible. We'll see what happens there. I'm taking the Cardinals by $1 billion. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Not even close.
Rams and the Washington football team. This game could be one of those tricky games. I think it'd probably be boring, just as boring as the Rams game last week. The Rams don't excite me at all unless they somehow get right and get back to old form, which I don't see happening. Maybe this one ends up being one of those close, like 28, 25 games or something like that.
Here's what I want to happen. I want the game to be a blowout slightly for the Rams the first quarter, and then I want them to put in my boy Alex Smith and let him get some redemption. Let him, because they already benched Dwayne Haskins. His time is over.
Kyle Allen, it's the
he's
got
the way he ended in Carolina gives me no faith for him.
The Ron Rivera connection.
I understand that, but there's no faith for him. He's going to have a shit game. Maybe I'm wrong. And I want this happen because I want to see Alex Smith come back out there.
Alex Smith is like bow-legged permanently, like three times over.
He's just not running. He's just not running. I want to see him play.
I do care because I don't want to see a guy that can barely function as a human being put on a football helmet and be a quarterback of a football team.
Hold on now.
After suffering one of the worst leg injuries that we've seen. Like, this isn't
he passed
like
physicals.
Have you seen him?
I saw his full leg cast. He is past physicals, and I watched him during practice, and he was still able to throw the ball. Now, I don't know how he can take a hit.
That's what I'm saying. Of course he can throw the ball.
What I'm saying is he looked really good, and he can throw off the foot. He can run a little bit with the foot, even being completely dead or whatever it is. I wonder if he's afraid of the hit. I just want to see him throw a couple passes.
I don't.
Alex Smith is one of the great football guys that unfortunately have
He's not a great football guy. I hate Alex Smith.
Man.
I hated Alex Smith my whole life. I'll hate him forever. No, fuck Alex Smith. You know what Alex Smith did? He fucked around, made the 49ers wait on him forever to be halfway decent. And then he was finally kind of halfway decent and let them down so much they ended up putting Kaepernick in the middle of a winning season to replace him. Yeah. And then he went to play. Then he basically got pushed out of there, goes and plays for Kansas City, puts up all these giant fucking numbers on a prolific passing offense. Yeah, rightfully so, because he's a fraud. Yeah.
No,
I
like him.
What is to like?
Listen, I want to see it happen. I'm a guy.
I don't care. I don't want to see it happen. Alex Smith sucks. I don't care if he got hurt. It sucks. I feel bad that he got hurt, but I don't feel okay just like wanting him to play because he recovered. Like, congratulations, Like, I got hurt last week. Like, I burnt myself last week.
Next year.
I'm still healing. Like, I don't get a starting job. Like, no. No, dude. He can barely fucking walk. And then they had a video of him, like, in a slip and slide with his kids. He doesn't care about his future as a quarterback. I don't know. Like, they're throwing water balloons at him and shit. Like, didn't they say it was healthy. Like bone on bone? I don't know. I just remember it being like Alex Smith's injury is so bad he shouldn't be able to walk. But now
it wasn't the injury itself. It wasn't the injury itself. It was the infection after. He got sepsis or something like that. He got blood. Basically,
so infection. He pooped in his own leg.
No, there was
Sounds
there
like
was a
his own
mistake,
problem. Yeah,
basically.
he poked in
shit
his own leg.
He got pink eye in his knee. No, but it was bad infection. They almost had to chop the leg off.
I hate Alex Smith.
We differ on this. You hate Alex Smith. He's your Trent Dilfer.
No,
I want
he
to see him
sucks.
succeed.
He's not my Trent Dilfer. He didn't affect me directly. He just affected me in an annoying. He just
Trent Dilfer
annoying.
never affected me directly. I just hate his guts. But go ahead.
Alex Smith
Let's go to the
sucks,
next
and he's
game.
always sucked. All right, yeah, Giants Cowboys. This should be a blowout. But how much do we want the Giants to actually win? All of them.
A lot, because Jerry Jones is a racist, and as much as I like all the guys on the Cowboys team, I don't want Jerry Jones to have zero. I want him to have zero success ever. We just kind of forget that Jerry Jones sends out emails with racial slurs and talking about racist things, and I'll fire anybody who kneels and all this stuff. I hope he never wins a football game again. If we fired Donald Sterling for saying dumb shit, but we let Jerry Jones get away with it because he's the richest guy in football. Screw that. I don't want them to win. I do like Dak. I do like Zeke. But I'm sorry. I hope you guys lose.
What do you buy into this? I'm always speaking from a fantasy standpoint, obviously. What do you buy into this receiving core for Dallas? Who do you think are the main beneficiaries? Your every week guys, and who isn't? Or can you start all five?
We've talked about this before. It's CeeDee Lamb is a really good ball player.
CeeDee Lamb's my number 2 on that team. Cooper's been putting up outstanding numbers.
But
Lamb.
Dak looks for Gallup. He looks for Gallup. He looks for Zeke before he looks for Lamb.
But what has Gallup done?
Nothing. But I'm saying you're talking about targets and looks. I'm saying Lamb probably is. He's a better football player than.
And he has better numbers.
He'd be a number 1 or number 2 on any other team. Here,
he's number 2 on that team.
They just go with comfort level, though. His targets are not. I mean, they like these other guys more.
But it's one of those things. Like, he's proven himself as a rookie, so like you would expect that number to go up. What about Schultz? What about tight end?
Maybe he takes him over. I don't know about. See, I had this. Our buddy Brett tried to send me him, and he's like, "Oh, I think he's going to be a top tight end." Maybe. I don't know, man.
He's a hot name.
He's a hot name, but we talked about this before with CeeDee Lamb when we did our stardom sit-ins. There's too much going on. Maybe that's why they're not playing. Maybe that's not why they're not winning. They're just not winning. There's just too much to give the ball to. Zeke is going to get yards, 100+ yards. He's going to go off. He's going to catch some passes. So you have that. Amari Cooper, going to go off, going to catch some passes, get some touchdowns. True. Then everybody else is going to split the rest.
Good point. You don't know where the targets are going. I got the Cowboys in this game, obviously, although I would like to see the Giants do the unspeakable. Colts-Browns, this is a good game. This is a really good game. Both teams have kind of been under the radar, and I'm curious to see what happens. I mean, the Colts have, like, one of the top defenses in the fucking league right now. The Browns actually have a top 10 defense, and both teams can't have enough playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. This is a nice matchup. I'm glad it's at 425.
Colts have a good line.
I like that it's 425. I can actually watch this one after the Steelers game. So, yeah.
I'm going to say this. I'm going with the better offensive line. I'm going with the Colts. We don't like the Browns necessarily, but they are playing good football. They're playing the football they should be playing with all the talent they have. With that said, and they're the Browns until they're not. You know what I mean? They're always going to be the team that shits the bed. They beat the Cowboys, which was amazing, but I don't know necessarily if that was.
But Phillip Rivers is the Browns of quarterbacks.
He is. We've talked about that. A lot of that has to do with his offensive line in the past.
So that
He's
evens
never had
out.
this good of a line.
The legacy evens out. It's a push.
I'm taking the Colts.
I'm taking the Colts too because I hate the Browns.
But it wouldn't surprise me.
But I will say something nice about the Browns. They're the number 1 rushing team in football, so the offensive line is legit. Maybe not pass defense, but they have a great running game. I don't think they're going to have the running game that they had last week.
Njoku might be back too. So I read that earlier. He's looking. Not this week, but next week.
I hope so, because then they're going to be worse because he's a terrible football player.
He jumps before the ball
He's
gets
so
there.
bad.
It's
Never
my
done
favorite thing.
No, I've seen
to
him make
see.
one good play ever.
He jumps, and then he comes back down. The ball goes over
I
his head. I'm
don't doubt that he's
why does he
super
do that?
talented and athletic, but he is fucking
Athletic.
sucks.
I wouldn't say
in-game.
talented. He's super athletic.
I
don't
got the
think
Colts
he
in
is.
this game. I think the defense is just too much. All right, Bengals, Ravens.
I don't know, man. Let's go with the Ravens. Obviously, this isn't that hard.
You don't think it's a trap game?
I don't know, man. I'll say Lamar hasn't practiced 2 days in a row for the first time in his career. That's scary, but I don't know if that's just because they are going against the Bengals. Yeah, but he's going to play. And even if RG3 plays, I just don't see how the Bengals win this game.
The Ravens' defense is very, very good. It should be total domination.
The Bengals' defense is so bad.
I'm trying my hardest not to be biased here, so I'm just going to pick the Bengals.
Well, they're both in your division. They're both in your division. You said I'm trying to be biased, but let's go pick the Bengals.
Well, I hate the Ravens more than any team in football.
Okay. So that's your real competition now.
No, I hated them for life, forever. More than any team ever, including the
other
Patriots.
Browns team. The other Browns team. That's why I call them. They're the original Browns. But, I think the Ravens still win this one. And if Lamar plays, they're going to win by 30.
Yeah, you're probably right. Just like last year. Or maybe he'll get it. Maybe this is a game he gets injured in.
I don't like to say that, but maybe. I mean, this is, like I said, the trap game that he can
might
get hurt
decide
with
to run it for, across the middle when they're up 30 points in the fourth quarter again.
Yeah.
It's always possible.
Sure.
All right. Game's probably going to suck dick. All right. So, Raiders-Chiefs.
Chiefs. I mean, it's another game. Same thing. Division game. Could be a trap, but it's.
I doubt the Raiders get enough running game going to give them the offense needed to compete in this game. They just don't have the balls to hang with the Chiefs. And that's either you need the defense that's capable of slowing them down, or you have to go toe-to-toe with them. And
they tried with Ruggs this year. They tried with Ruggs drafting this year to stay up, like the Broncos did with their receivers they drafted. But with that said, I mean, it's just not enough. Kelsey, Patty Mahomes. I mean, it's not enough.
I do think the Chiefs' defense is a little bit overrated right now.
I agree.
Don't believe that they're as good as they've been playing. We'll see. Obviously, I can't discredit facts right now, but just out of pure speculation, I think their defense is playing a lot above their level right now. So,
they're not. They don't build on defense. They don't brag about defense. They had a couple good guys over there, but you're right. Overrated defense, but against I don't think the Raiders are going to expose anything.
True. All right. So I don't know. That seems like a typical Raiders-Chiefs game. Like it'll probably be like 34-28 or something.
No, it'll be a blowout.
I don't know. I feel like every division game in that division is usually pretty close. They're always like those weird games. You're like, blowout.
Oh, the Broncos last year were the only team to hold the Chiefs under 20-some points.
Yeah, but they're the worst team in football. So, all right, Eagles Steelers. Obviously, I got my Pittsburgh Steelers. Just kidding. I actually think the Eagles will win this game. This is the classic Steelers trap game. Coming out of the bye, we always play fucking terrible. We always overlook every terrible opponent, and we should have 15 sacks in this game, but we'll probably get 1 or 2.
Well, I think Carson Wentz has been Roethlisberger, just not as durable. So it could happen, but I'm taking your Steelers by a big. This is a week of blowouts. Last week was a week of high scores. This is a week of blowouts.
I've yet to see the Steelers under Mike Tomlin blow out a team they should. Maybe that's happened, and it's just not in my brain because I remember all the times it hasn't happened. But it just doesn't seem to happen when it should.
You're right. They play down. We talked about this last week. They're playing, or 2 weeks ago. They play down, and that's just kind of that's true. But I don't. I think they're going to beat these by a lot.
This Eagles Steelers game has always been close, no matter what. I think a little bit of that state rivalry, combined with
playing for Pennsylvania.
Well, they were the same team at one point too. During the war, it's Steagles. So I don't know. I think there's a little bit of history there to be had, and if you're good enough to dig up all bite of history and read your facts, you might find out a good tidbit or two about the teams. And the Steelers are going to win by 45. I changed my mind.
When the fuck did Britain have NFL teams?
The Eagles in Philadelphia. We had British accents when we established Philadelphia and the Liberty Bell. takes
Sure.
time to get over an accent, Ray. It's not like we just fucking got rid. Like, we were still kind of British before we fucking actually became Americans. Like, we were over here doing this. We were living this life. Like, we was doing it with British accents and fucking doing it wrong.
Not when the NFL started.
Yeah, we corrected it. That was Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Paul Revere.
Ask Nick Luna. Nick Luna has a Philly
And Paul
accent for you.
Revere and the British are coming and they're gonna suck the Steelers' dicks. Steelers, go Steelers. All right. Dolphins 49ers. What a tame matchup compared to what we just said. Matt Breida, revenge game.
Who you got?
You know, I feel like all these games should be so obvious this week, so I've picked every upset. So once again, I'm going with the Dolphins.
I am also going with not the Dolphins. I'm actually going to pick the 49ers. It's a safe bet, man. It's Kittle last week had a really good week. I
think this is the week we see Tua.
Mostert comes back.
I think we're going to see some Tua. I think we're going to see some Tua this week. And I think...
For good or bad reasons.
Bad reasons on Fitzpatrick's end, definitely for sure.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to get a little Tua, a little bit of game planning gone wild because they're not expecting to see him, and they pull out the W. I don't know. 49ers are still... They're a good team, but I don't know. They don't really have an identity without Jimmy G.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm taking them to win.
Okay, fair enough. And Broncos Patriots have been moved, obviously. Last game we got Sunday night, Vikings Seahawks. This is a good game, and I think the Seahawks are the better team by far, but the Vikings are also the team that we're expecting to hopefully get it in gear at some point. So maybe this is a get-right game for them. On the road in Seattle.
For some reason, Seattle has had some weird games this year. And I think this is the game that I think they get together and everybody talks about, like, oh, this is the turning point. I don't think that he's necessarily going to do great, but I think Kirk Cousins has a good game. I think that in general they play well, and they win the game by a close game. Win the game by a close game. We have our first good Monday night game. Well, I don't know. We have a good Monday night game. Let's say that. Sunday night game. I apologize. We have a good Sunday night game.
I think that the Seahawks defense has been playing above their kind of what they are capable of up until this point. Yeah. And I think that the Vikings could possibly expose their secondary. And I don't know. I could see Thielen having a big night with a little offset of some Dalvin Cook, and the Vikings going it. But this game will go how the Vikings go. The Seahawks will be in any game. The Vikings, they are the team that we think they are. Like, they either get out to a roaring lead and they just fucking crush, and then maybe the Seahawks would creep back in, or they just suck and it just sucks. The game sucks.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's going to be a good
garbage time. You know what I mean? But I would like.
Trust me, I know garbage time. I lose fantasy football because garbage time.
I think it can be competitive without. I don't know. I like the Vikings in this one, getting a nice hard win. Oh, nice and hard.
They get it to them good.
Yep, that's all I got for this week's games. Obviously, we are hoping that there aren't games delayed or canceled because of the Tennessee Titans. You fucks, you shitheads. Why would you do that? You
Stop.
Naughty.
Strip clubs aren't worth it, fools.
No, look, take a bit of advice. Here's the deal. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen to me.
No, seriously, I'm excited for this weekend. The games aren't super awesome, so this might be a weekend where I kind of flip off the red zone and pay attention to a little more of the individual games, which is a nice little treat for myself and my football brain to take a rest from the automated super explosion of games that we get every single week with Red Zone.
This is Super Trap Week, so we'll see. I do think that we're going to have...
Week, yeah.
Yeah, because all these games are like, they all should be below. Majority of them should be. There's only like 3 games worth being close, but I do think that we are going to be talking about this next week and be like, damn, look at all those games that were just blowouts.
Remember
what a
that?
waste of time.
Remember that time the Browns lost by 50? No, I'm just
Gotta
gotta take my shots. Gotta take my shots. All right, well, everybody that listened, thank you for listening. If you haven't joined the group, the Schwen Sports group on Facebook, we'll be there asking questions, talking about, sharing all the news, talking about the news. And until Sunday night, we're going to review the games, talk about the upcoming games that have been postponed. Hopefully, there's not more than 3. Until then, I'll see you later.
Adios.